welcome back. 9:31 here on The Big Picture. I'm Colin. She's Bryn. Right now we are joined by Westerville Police Chief Holly Murchland.
Hi.
Chief Murchland, thanks so much
us.
for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Just last month, the city of Westerville passed an ordinance that kind of updates some of the rules and regulations around what are they called? PTDs, personal transportation devices.
Yes.
But what we're talking about are those e-bikes, the e-scooters.
Yes.
Really changing because they're
PTDs.
There's something that didn't really exist just a couple years ago, really in the numbers that they do now. They're everywhere now.
Absolutely.
And children are on them.
Yes.
Not just adults anymore.
I like to say I think it was the hot Christmas gift because it appears to, like, especially this spring and summer, it just boomed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
everywhere. They're everywhere.
So when it comes to the enforcement of this, what are we really looking out for here?
Okay. It's really, we're trying to stress the safety of these because I think a lot of people, they think of it as a regular bike, and it is not a regular bike. They're a lot heavier, and they obviously can go a lot faster. So again, we're trying to stress the safety of things, and that's where our ordinance really, the main focus is on helmets. And if you are riding any of these e-bikes or the e-scooters, if you're under the age of 18, you have to have a helmet on.
Mm-hmm. That's so important. I was in Upper Arlington the other day, and a group of kids on these e-scooters passed by, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're getting younger and younger riding these things, you know?
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing to hold parents accountable, but also the kids that may be not wearing their helmets?
Well, really, again, they're easier to spot because, again, you have to have the helmet on. It's easy for us to see that you're not wearing it. We have our bike patrol officers out in force this summer, going on those bike trails and in the neighborhoods. And really what we're doing is stopping them and making them aware of the law and the change in the law that you have to have that helmet. If for some reason they are being extremely reckless, we are able to seize the bike for a little bit. That's not what we want to do. We're really not here to ruin everybody's summer. Again, we're just here trying to stress the safety of things.
Yeah, and when it comes to making sure that, these updates in the codes around these vehicles are known, what are some of the educational opportunities that either the city is doing or Westerville Police, just to make sure that everybody kind of knows that, for parents, that when they buy their kids, I don't want to call them a toy because they're not a toy.
No. Yeah.
When they buy their kids these e-bikes or something, that they know that there are some rules they have to follow.
I would urge everyone to go to our website, our city website, in the police department section of it, and it will give you pretty straightforward rules. They can be a little complicated on where you can ride them because some places, you can ride on the trails and some places you can't. I would always urge anyone to look for signs posted because it will have them posted out there where you can and can't ride them. But again, I would stress going to our website, and it kind of gives you a checklist of where you can go.
Right.
And have you talked to other cities and their police chiefs about this? What is their plan as well? How did you work together with them to figure out these new rules?
Yeah, this is, again, it's the kind of the hot new toy, as you said, but not really a toy. And we're seeing this really in every neighborhood and every other jurisdiction, and really it's kind of nationwide if you look, and we're trying to be consistent amongst all of us. So we do meet regularly and we talk about this and we learn from one another what works and what doesn't work. So again, I think you'll see a little more consistency amongst all of us.
Right, and I know Westerville does have some of those rules regarding where they're at, and that changes. Speed limits, considerations, can and cannots.
Yes.
That are all, because you mentioned the trails.
Yeah.
Not allowed on some of them.
Correct.
And then, yes.
And again, it also depends on what kind of class e-bike. There's the three classes of e-bikes. Class 1 and Class 2, you can only go 20 miles an hour on those. Class 3, they have that limit of 28. And most trails, really all of them, you cannot ride that Class 3. E-bike. So it's important that parents know which one they're buying. They have a sticker on them. They're identified on what class they are, but it's really important that that they buy the correct class as well.
Yeah, because they're the modern day moped, really.
Right, I
yes.
know. I had a moped growing up. We would just only ride it around the neighborhood, but it's just, everything's electric now. But we were talking about it. We drive to work in the wee early hours of the day. We sometimes see people on these scooters and these bikes at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Don't know where they're going, none of my business, but they're in the middle of the road. So that's when it does become my business because I'm driving.
Yes.
In Westerville, are they allowed to be in the road at all, or do you need them on the sidewalks? I know you said some trails they cannot be on. What exactly are the rules with the classes?
Class 3 is on the roadway. They are supposed to be on the roadway. They can be. Again, they need to make sure that they're following the traffic laws, though. And a lot of places you can't be on the sidewalks with them. And if you are on a sidewalk in a place where it is allowed, you have to remember that speed limit's 8 miles an hour for a bicycle, which
slow.
It is slow. And you really are supposed to be engaging the pedals then. It's not supposed to be the electric boost that you get that a lot of people are using them for.
I'm not trying to fearmonger. Personally, I've had a friend when these first came out, she fell off of one and she fell forward and tried to catch herself and she actually broke both of her elbows. It was horrible. Yeah. But have there been any, I don't want to fearmonger, but any stories in Westerville that you can think of when, someone has gotten really injured from these?
We have had a few, thankfully, not too many. But again, I have to stress that these bikes go a lot faster and they are a lot heavier. They're harder to maneuver. So just you hop on and you think it's like the bicycle that you learn to ride on, and it's not. You really need to practice the maneuverability of it to make sure you're used to it before you go out.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to all of that too is you can injure other people.
Absolutely.
Besides just yourself. Yeah. It can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
So,
Chief Murchland, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
of course,
for having me.
if you live in Westerville or around Westerville, you can find out more about this by going to police.westerville.org to find out more of the regulations there in Westerville. But just about an hour ago, sitting down with Tracy Townsend, Dublin came in to talk about their rules regarding e-bikes. As we said, everybody is getting involved in these.
Those bikes, everything, people are everywhere on two wheels, and sometimes, as I told you, I do judge you if you don't have a helmet. So talk about these rules.
So in Dublin, we've actually changed the rule where anybody under 16 is required to wear a helmet. That's one of our biggest changes that you've seen. Right. And we will judge you if you're not. But at the same time, it's about safety. It's about education. A lot of times these families are, grabbing or gravitating towards the e-bikes, the electric scooters, and they're not recognizing the rules and responsibilities that come with that. So wanting to have those conversations, answer questions, but also engage so they know this is where you can learn about that. You can go to our website and learn exactly what the requirements are when you are utilizing those awesome devices, but how to do it safely and keeping the rest of the community safe as well with all of our multi-use paths.
We don't have a lot of time, but I actually want to have you talk about the fact that mom, dad, you can be in trouble if your kids are in trouble for this.
Yes, you can no longer just hand a device over to your child and expect them to have the responsibility, have that knowledge. You will also be held to a higher standard of understanding what those rules and responsibilities are. You need to know what the requirements are for speed, where you should be traveling, what part of the multi-use path or the street, the requirements. So a parent is going to be held to that standard of holding the responsibility with their child's actions.
All right.